Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Wasn't planning on doing a completely separate episode from the one we did at 3 o'clock Eastern today, talking Julian Lewis, a little bit of the Maui Invitational, college basketball, whatever. But what are we going to do? What are we not going to talk about? The biggest story in all of college sports right now, as Bryce Underwood, the #1 high school player in America, just moments ago officially flipped from LSU to Michigan. And so we started the conversation. We talked about what it means for Michigan, how it all came together, all that good stuff, okay? But what I want to do right now, listen, we got to do it. We got to talk about what it means from the LSU perspective, what it means for the Tigers. And I got to be transparent. We got to talk about what it means for Brian Kelly and his future. Because at the end of the day, LSU ain't very good on the field right now. And I think a lot of his future was tied to, well, at least you got the #1 recruit in America coming in next year. Yeah, that ain't going to happen now. And so now there are some real big picture questions for Brian Kelly. First of all, listen, let me say this. Before we even get to the Bryce Underwood stuff, I'm not trying to brag or anything. I think we've been a little bit ahead of maybe just how bad things are at LSU on this channel, maybe more so than some other national people. And I'm not here to criticize other people, content creators, podcasters, YouTubers, whatever, okay? But I remember after the Alabama game 2 weeks ago, I said, like, what is LSU right now? LSU, it was their third loss. It basically eliminated them from the college football playoff. Now, in theory, they still technically had the ability to make the SEC championship. So I guess maybe there was a pot, whatever. But they lost to Alabama 42-13, okay? They didn't find the end zone until the final minute of the game. And so I said at the time, I said, what is this program? You get destroyed by Alabama. You get destroyed by Texas A&M. You lose to a bad USC team. And oh, by the way, it's worth noting, if Lenore Sellers doesn't get hurt against South Carolina, you lose that game too. And you barely, you won by the skin of your teeth against Ole Miss. And so I said that Torres, it's Alabama, stuff happens. Well, I think the game against Florida last week in the Swamp, it really showed this LSU program is going in the wrong direction. And this LSU program, there's nothing special about it. I say it all the time. LSU, you could argue right now in the NFL, when I was a kid, all the freaks, all the crazy players that had all that NFL success came from Miami. In the Miami days, it was Andre Johnson, it was Jeremy Shockey, it was Jonathan Vilma, it was Ed Reed, it was Vince Wilfork, whatever. Now, this generation, it's LSU. And even when LSU's had peaks and valleys, think about all the NFL players that have come through that place, okay? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, on and on. And I've been saying, like, there's nothing special about LSU. They don't look good. They don't look athletic. They don't even look like they belong on the same field as Alabama. They didn't look like they belong on the same field as Florida. And so the whole saving grace for Brian Kelly was, we may stink this year, but hey, we got the #1 recruit in America coming in. And so to me, this is a major inflection point for the entire Brian Kelly era at LSU and what the future holds for him. Now, to be clear, because I've already gotten text messages from people in the industry, he ain't getting fired. Okay, I got somebody, Brian Kelly, he's done. Brian Kelly ain't done. Back-to-back 10-win seasons to start his career at LSU. But what I can say, the clock is officially ticking because now you don't have anything to sell for the future and you stink. I remember a year ago in the lead up to signing day, there was a lot of talk about the possibility of, could DJ Lagway flip from Florida? Florida lost a ton of guys out of their class. Elko gets the A&M job. Lagway has relationships with Lincoln Riley. And it was like, could he flip to USC? Could he flip to Texas A&M? And I remember saying at the time, I was like, if Lagway is lost, if Lagway does not sign with Florida, there's no reason to bring back Billy Napier because he's the whole future of the program. And so with Brian Kelly, it's not quite as dire, but the clock is certainly ticking at LSU. Because you look at LSU right now, they're not good on the field. They're not good on the field. And Bryce Underwood was the future. Listen, Garrett Nussmeier, he's doing his best, whatever. He's not good. I'm sorry. It's the truth. I see him on NFL draft boards. No disrespect. I'll just say it. I don't care. Put that guy on CFL draft boards because he stinks, okay? And I think the reason he was trying to leave was because he knew Bryce Underwood was coming in to take his job. And so now, what is the future of this program? Because you had Bryce Underwood, he's gone. I think the recruiting class is going to largely fall apart. But here's my big question. What is this program right now? We just mentioned it with Michigan. You couldn't run it back with the current quarterback situation. I don't think Michigan can run, or I don't think LSU can run it back with Garrett Nussmeier. He's not good enough. I mean, you watched him on the field with DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway is a true freshman who's figuring it out on the fly coming off injury, and it wasn't even comparable. DJ Lagway was so much better, and every player and every coach in America would take DJ Lagway right now over Garrett Nussmeier, okay? And so Garrett Nussmeier isn't the answer. You don't have enough talent around him. I mean, you think about some of those players at LSU. Kyron Lacey's draft eligible. He's going to be gone. Mason Taylor's draft eligible. He's going to be gone. Braden Swinson's draft eligible on the defensive side of the ball. He's going to be gone. And so I don't see where the upside is and where the excitement is for LSU. And this was supposed to be it. And now with Bryce Underwood gone, I'm telling you, I think that recruiting class, there is a very distinct possibility that it could be in shambles here in the coming days. I'm just looking right now at 24/7 team rankings. LSU was a top 4 class prior to the Bryce Underwood decommitment. Well, DJ Pickett, the number 1 player, still ranked in that class. He took a visit to, I want to say, Florida this past week. He's taken visits to Miami. He's taken other visits, okay? Derek Meadows, we just mentioned him, is a player that just took a visit to Michigan in recent weeks. And so a lot of these players that are committed now, you have to think they're going to rethink their commitments. So if I'm Brian Kelly, again, Brian Kelly isn't getting fired, okay? He's owed too much money. And I think as importantly, he is a guy that like Scott Woodward, the AD, is tied to Brian Kelly. That was his big hire. He fired Coach O, and that was his push all the chips in the middle and go get the Notre Dame head coach. So he's going to give Brian Kelly the benefit of the doubt. He's going to give Brian Kelly everything and every opportunity to prove he's the guy. But what reason is there to think that things are going to get better in this program? Again, the most important player in the class is gone. Garrett Nussmeier isn't the answer. Here's the crazy part, too, about LSU. I don't think a lot of people have considered. Keep in mind that, think about this. If you actually look at LSU's schedule, this was kind of the year that LSU really was supposed to and should have made their move. LSU, let's think about this schedule. Yes, they open with USC. We found out that USC isn't good, okay? Keep in mind, they don't have Texas on the schedule. They don't have Georgia on the schedule. They don't have Tennessee on the schedule. They do have Alabama at home and Ole Miss at home, okay? And so of the 6 legitimate SEC contenders, you had to go face one of them on the road. That was Texas A&M, and you got destroyed, okay? And so I just bring it up because if this was the easy schedule, and I know next year the schedules just flip, instead of, they won't have Texas, they won't have Tennessee, they won't have whatever. But this was the year. No Tennessee, no Texas, no Georgia, Alabama at home, Ole Miss at home. USC, it turns out, stinks. And you're going to go, you're 6-4 right now. You might go 8-4. There's nothing redeeming about this 8-4 season. What's the great win on the schedule? Ole Miss in overtime? Congratulations. Should have lost that game. You were never in control. USC, you lose. Alabama, you lose. South Carolina, I guess, is a decent loss. Whatever. The only point I'm trying to make is this is bad. I cannot believe it either. I see some comments in the comment section. I think Mike Bass is right. I mentioned some of the names